Right now, today, there is a real chance you are legally allowed to pay less property tax than you are currently paying, maybe even nothing at all, and the county is never going to be the one to tell you that. Nobody sends you a letter. Nobody calls. The form just sits in a drawer at the county office, waiting for someone to walk in and ask for it by name, and most people over 65 never do, simply because nobody ever told them it existed. That ends today. By the time we are done here, you are going to know exactly which programs you may already qualify for, what they could be worth in real dollars, and the very first phone call you need to make this week to start the process. I'm Terry Arnold, a licensed estate attorney with over 16 years of experience helping retirees and families understand the rules surrounding taxes, retirement benefits, estate planning, and government programs. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Before we go any further, if you're serious about protecting your retirement savings, avoiding costly tax mistakes, and keeping more of the money you've worked your entire life to earn, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I share straightforward information about IRS rules, Social Security, retirement planning, and estate issues that affect retirees just like you. And one of the most painful patterns I have seen in all my years of work is watching someone in their 70s or 80s hand over a property tax check every single year for a bill that was never theirs to pay in full in the first place, simply because nobody sat them down and explained the rules. Not a lawyer, not a realtor, not a neighbor, nobody. And by the time I meet them, they have often overpaid for 5, 10, sometimes 15 years, and none of it ever comes back. There is no refund window that reaches that far. It is just gone. So today, we fix that for you right now in the next few minutes. Let's start with the biggest misconception I hear over and over in my office. People think these programs are only for one kind of homeowner. Either they assume it is only for people who are struggling financially, so if their home is paid off and their bills are manageable, they think this does not apply to them. Or they assume it is only for people with modest homes, so if their house happens to be worth more than it used to be, they think they are excluded. Neither one of those is true, and I do not want a single person watching this to check out early thinking this video is not for them. The first thing almost everyone misses. Before we even get into the specific programs, there is one thing you need to understand about how property taxes actually work in this country. Your county does not send you a bill based on what is fair. They send you a bill based on what you have not told them. The system, in almost every state, is built on the assumption that homeowners will come forward and claim the reductions they qualify for. If you never file the paperwork, the county assumes you want to pay the full amount, and they will happily keep collecting it, year after year, without ever asking whether you actually owed that much. That single fact is the reason this video exists, because it means the amount you are paying right now may have nothing to do with what you actually owe under the law. It may simply reflect the fact that nobody ever told you to file a form. Let's get into the programs themselves, starting with the one that almost everyone qualifies for and almost nobody has properly filed. Program 1, the Homestead Exemption. If you live in the home you own as your primary residence, most states offer what is called a homestead exemption. What this does is reduce the taxable value of your home before your tax bill is even calculated. Think of it this way. If your home is valued at $300,000 and your state offers a $50,000 homestead exemption, your county calculates your tax bill as if your home is only worth $250,000. That is real money off your bill, every single year, for as long as you own and live in that home. Here is the part that surprises people. In many states, this exemption is not applied automatically when you buy a house. You have to file for it, usually with a simple one-page form through your county appraisal office. And in most places, there is a deadline, often sometime in the spring. Miss the deadline, and you pay the full bill for that year. File it once, and in a lot of states, it stays active for as long as you live there. No need to refile every year. Now, here is why this matters so much for people over 60 specifically. In most states, you cannot even apply for the senior programs we are about to talk about until your homestead exemption is already on file. It is the gateway. Without it, the rest of this list does not open up to you. So if you take away nothing else from the first part of this video, take this. Call your county appraisal office this week and ask them one simple question. Is the homestead exemption currently on file for my property in my name? If they say no, ask what you need to do to add it. That is step 1. and we are just getting started. Program 2, the Senior Exemption. Once your homestead is on file, most states layer an additional exemption on top of it, specifically for homeowners who have reached a certain age, usually 65, though in some states it starts a little earlier or a little later. This is a completely separate form from the homestead exemption. It does not happen automatically just because you had a birthday. You have to ask for it, by name, and file it yourself. The value of this exemption varies quite a bit depending on where you live. In some states, it is a flat dollar amount taken off your assessed value. In others, it is a percentage reduction, and in a handful of states, it can cut your taxable value by close to half. Here is where I want to slow down, because this is where a lot of comfortable, financially stable retirees make a costly assumption. Some states attach an income limit to the senior exemption, and if your income is above that line, you might assume you are automatically excluded, so you never even check. But more than half the states that offer a senior exemption do not have any income requirement at all. It is based purely on your age, not your income, not your home value. You turn the qualifying age, you file the form, and you get the reduction. So here is your action item for this one. Call your county assessor and ask directly, what is the senior exemption in this county? What are the eligibility requirements, and is there an income limit? Get the actual answer, do not guess, do not assume. Quick recap before we go further. Let's pause here for just a moment, because I want this to actually stick with you, not just wash over you. So far, we have covered the homestead exemption, which reduces your taxable value and opens the door to everything else, and the senior exemption, which stacks right on top of it once you hit the qualifying age. Two forms, two separate applications, both of them sitting quietly at your county office, waiting for you to ask. But what we are about to cover next is, in my professional opinion, the single most valuable program on this entire list, and it is the one I see skipped more than any other. If you only remember one section from this whole video, let it be the next one. Program 3, the Assessment Freeze. This is the one that changes everything, and here is why. Every other exemption we have talked about so far reduces your bill in the year you file it. This one protects you for the rest of your life in that home. Here is how it works. Once you reach the qualifying age and you file the freeze application, your county locks in your home's assessed value at that point in time. From that moment forward, no matter how much your neighborhood grows, no matter how much home values climb around you, no matter how hot the market gets, your property tax bill continues to be calculated using that frozen value, not the new, higher one. Let me paint the picture for you, because this is where it becomes real. Imagine your home was worth $200,000 the year you turned 65 and you filed the freeze. 10 years later, that same home is worth $400,000. Your neighbor down the street, who never filed the freeze, is now paying tax on the full $400,000 value. You are still paying tax on the $200,000 number. Same street, same size home, same year built, two completely different tax bills for the rest of your life. Over 15 or 20 years, that gap can add up to tens of thousands of dollars. There is one thing you absolutely must know about this program. In most states, there is a filing window, and if you miss it, you may lose the ability to freeze your value at that lower number permanently. The earlier you file, the more of that appreciation you protect yourself from. If you take one phone call away from this entire video, make it this one. Call your county and ask specifically for the senior assessment freeze. Or in some states, it is called a tax ceiling. Ask if you are eligible, ask what the deadline is, and file it as soon as you possibly can. Now, before we move into the next two programs, and trust me, they are just as important, I want to ask you something. If this information is genuinely useful to you, if you are learning things right now that you did not know 5 minutes ago, please take a second and hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell. I put out videos like this regularly, covering the rules around Social Security, IRS mistakes retirees make, and estate planning traps that catch families off guard. It costs you nothing, and it means you will not miss the next one. All right, let's keep going, because what is coming next might be the most overlooked program on this entire list. Program 4, the Circuit Breaker Credit. This one has a strange name, and that is probably part of the reason almost nobody has heard of it. Just like an electrical circuit breaker trips when there is too much strain on the system, this program trips, in your favor, when your property tax bill becomes too large a percentage of your income. Here is how it typically works. You file an application, often through your state income tax return, even if you do not owe any state income tax yourself. You report your household income and how much property tax you paid. If your tax exceeds a certain percentage of your income, usually somewhere between 3 and 6% depending on the state sends you a check or applies a credit for the difference. A lot of states offer some version of this, and the amounts range from a few $100s a year up to well over $1,000 in some cases. The income limits are often higher than people assume. This is not strictly a poverty program, and a number of working middle-income retirees qualify without any trouble at all. The reason almost nobody applies is simple. It is a state form, not a county form, so the money does not come out of the county budget, meaning from their perspective, they have no reason to bring it up. Here is your action step. Search for the words Circuit Breaker Property Tax Credit along with the name of your state and see what comes up. If your state offers it, the application is usually just one page tucked into the back of your state income tax instructions. Program 5. The Property Tax Deferral. I promised you the last one would be the one that quietly costs the most people the most money, and here it is. This program is built specifically for homeowners who are, as I like to describe it, house rich and cash poor. That means your home has real value. Maybe it has been paid off for years. Maybe it has appreciated significantly, but your monthly income is tight, and that property tax bill feels heavier every single year. Here is what a deferral actually does. If you qualify, based on your age, usually 62 or 65 depending on the state, and you meet the residency requirements, you can file to stop paying your property tax altogether, not reduce it, stop it entirely. The state or county pays the tax on your behalf, and the amount becomes a lien against your home, which only gets paid back when you sell, refinance, or when the home eventually passes to your heirs. There is one important detail here. If you still have a mortgage, check with your lender first, because some mortgage agreements treat an unpaid property tax bill as a default trigger, even if the state is technically covering it. For a home that is fully paid off, this program tends to be much simpler and cleaner to use. The interest rate charged is typically low, and the lien usually sits behind your mortgage in priority, meaning it does not interfere with your existing loan. If the alternative you are facing is selling a home you love just to keep up with taxes, this is absolutely worth exploring. 2 bonus moves before we wrap up. I want to give you 2 more things before we close out because they do not fit neatly into the 5 programs above, but they are just as important. The first is for anyone who served in the military. Disabled veteran exemptions exist in nearly every state, and depending on your service-connected disability rating, they can reduce your property tax significantly and in some states, wipe it out entirely for a 100% rating. If you served or if your spouse served, this is worth checking immediately. Even a partial rating often translates into a meaningful reduction. The second is something I see go wrong constantly, and it breaks my heart every time. It is called the surviving spouse carryover. When a senior homeowner passes away, their exemptions and their frees do not automatically transfer to the surviving spouse. They usually have to be reapplied for, often within a specific window after the death. If that reapplication does not happen, the property tax bill can jump dramatically on the exact household that just lost a portion of its income. If you know someone who recently lost a spouse, make sure this gets handled. The deadline is real, and counties rarely go out of their way to remind anyone. Bringing it all together. Let's recap everything we've covered today, because I want you to walk away from this video with a clear, simple plan, not just information. The homestead exemption reduces your taxable value and unlocks everything else. The senior exemption stacks on top of that once you reach the qualifying age. The assessment freeze locks in your home's value, so future appreciation does not increase your bill. The circuit breaker credit refunds you when your tax bill grows too large compared to your income. And the property tax deferral allows you to stop paying altogether, with the balance settled later, not now. 5 programs, all of them real, all of them legal, sitting quietly at your county or state office, waiting for someone to ask. None of this happens automatically. Nobody at the county is going to call you, your mortgage company will not mention it, and your tax preparer may not even know the details for your specific county. The only person who can start this process is you. So here is what I want you to do this week. Pick up the phone, call your county assessor's office, and ask them directly which of these programs you currently have on file and which ones you may be eligible for but have never applied to. Write down the names of the forms. Ask about deadlines. Do not let another year go by paying a bill that was never fully yours to carry. If this video helped you understand something you did not know before you clicked on it, do me a favor. Share it with someone you know who is over 60 and still paying a full property tax bill. It might be a parent, a neighbor, a friend from church. That one share could be the reason they finally make the call that saves them thousands of dollars. And if you want more videos like this one, covering the rules around Social Security, retirement planning, and the estate mistakes that catch families off guard every single day, make sure you are subscribed and keep those notifications turned on so you never miss the next one. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.